And I'm telling you, this is just the brink of the iceberg. Did you see the comments made by Rick Pitino after the game the other day about the NCAA?
No.
Ooh. He said there is a reason why you are seeing college football coaches, and you're going to see more college basketball coaches that say adios to the college game. This is the wild, wild west, and there are no rules that apply to anybody. Here you have the NCAA, which is looking into some things at Virginia and Tennessee. The state attorneys general file lawsuit in the court system. We saw that here in Ohio. Our attorney general, DeRose, he files when Bandego and Jameel Reynolds, right? It's part of his lawsuit. And all of a sudden, every time you turn around, the NCAA has, whether you like them or hate them, they're supposed to be the governing body and hand out penalties if people do wrong by the rules. The problem is nobody understands the rules. This thing has to do with Virginia and Tennessee about NIL money for incoming freshmen and all this kind of thing. And all of a sudden those two states are saying, this is BS what the NCAA says about it. We're filing lawsuits. And Pitino's talking about how, he's trying to build this program at St. John's. So he leaves Iona last year, and he comes into St. John's, and he brings, I think, 12 players with him in the transfer portal. He said, but then all of a sudden, you get these guys, and you're trying to build a program, and at the end of every season, now you're worried about 6 of the 12 turning around and walking out the door because they're unhappy.
It's changed. It is. We're certainly in a weird spot with the NCAA, as everybody, throughout the history of mankind, when change is happening, there's some uncomfortable things as part of that change. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, though. Like, there's going to be growing pains with the new era of the NCAA. And, yeah, these old coaches that had a lot of success before this new era are going to leave. When the internet started popping up, there was a lot of businesses that could either adapt or they could die, right? Sears went the way of the dodo. No more Sears anymore because they didn't adapt. Blockbuster didn't adapt to the internet. And you're going to see the same thing. Like, Nick Saban had maybe the greatest college football coach ever, certainly up there at the top. And he saw it and he goes, you know what? I'm out. I don't want to adapt to this new game. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's changed. That's all it is.
I don't think anybody's mad at the NIL, and you shouldn't be, really. People have been paying players for quite some time now. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's been an ongoing issue in college athletics. But I think one of the bigger problems is the NCAA. I think that's what Rick Pitino's saying. I think the enforcement of the so-called rules they create, it's not up to standard. It's not up to snuff, as our guy would say in the chat. So, no, I agree with Rick. I think the NCAA is it can't be on its last legs because it is the institution where college athletics play. But I think it's close to not. I think it's on its way out. I really do.
It feels like that towards football. NCAA does too much stuff for the other sports.
Yes.
Right. Like men's tennis, rowing, all that, all the stuff that they do for Division I, Division II, Division III. The NCAA can't be replaced. That would be such a drastic overhaul. But college football has become such a beast that it seems likely at some point that they will just go, listen, we're going to take it over from here. We're going to do it ourselves. Certainly for college football, it's going to change.
And at that point, it becomes what, unfortunately, a lot of people feared it would be when the NIL was brought into it, and that it's a minor leagues. It's a professional sports league, and that's unfortunate to where that's how we've had to do this. But I think a lot of it falls on the NCAA failing it from the jump, and that's on them, not on anybody else. And I don't know if you might not like the product anymore, but I would argue that no matter what happens, NCAA or no, everybody's still going to watch in on every Saturday for every Ohio State game, every Notre Dame game. Everybody's going to watch them. So nothing really is going to change other than the fact that it becomes openly what it's been in the shadows for quite some time, and that is a minor league sports operation.
We're throwing around words like this is unfortunate, this is bad for everything. Listen, it's just change. That's all it is, and human beings will always change. The only constant in life is change. And there's going to be growing pains with the change. That's going to be there's going to be more bad before it's perfected again. But college football, college athletics is going nowhere. It's going to only grow in popularity going forward. And yeah, it's going to be a different beast than it was 10 years ago, like it is a different beast right now than it was 30 years ago. That's going to be a new thing, but it's not a bad thing. It's just change.
Well, Pitino was making reference on how it's hard to maintain and build a program because you're basically recruiting the same player all 4 years that they're there in the school.
You got to recruit the guys that are in your
And you're
house.
recruiting high school guys. And you're recruiting portals from other players from other school that are going into the portal. That's all he's saying. And then the second, just like we did in Cincinnati, I was guilty as charged on this thing. Then in every single little college town you have, they say, well, wait a minute, what about my guy? Yeah, I know the coaches and the presidents didn't want this 2-time transfer rule, but man, there are so many heartstrings being pulled by Bandego and Jameel Reynolds, and they meet all these criteria. They ought to let our guys, forget their guys, they ought to let our guys play. That's going on everywhere, every state there is. And Pitino is just saying there is no enforcement of anything because states are filing lawsuits against the NCAA and against decisions the NCAA is making, and he's just saying it makes it very, very hard to try and build